The wind slices across the cold metal like a blade. Dawn breaks somewhere in the French countryside, late June 1944. Inside his Panzer IV, a young German tank commander rests his gloved hand on the chilly hatch, surveying the landscape. The air is thick with the scent of oil, smoke, and a tension he cannot place. At first, the sound comes distant and low, almost like approaching thunder. His eyes narrow, recognition dawning. This is no distant artillery. It is heavier, it moves. A tremor shakes the ground beneath him, and what emerges from the horizon will upend everything he believes about the war. Only weeks earlier, senior officers of the German High Command had been dismissive, seated in their polished chambers with maps spread out and red markers tracing enemy positions. Intelligence reports had been read aloud, yet the sheer scale of American production was underestimated. America was churning out tanks by the thousands, yet many in Nazi leadership scoffed. They assumed that quantity meant inferiority, that the Allied machines could never match German precision. Only General Heinz Guderian had warned that overwhelming numbers could defeat even superior engineering, but his caution was ignored. Germany still clung to its faith in armored supremacy. Panzer divisions struck fear across Europe. The Tiger firm, in service since 1942, had already cemented its deadly reputation. Its 88mm KWK-36 gun could annihilate enemy armor from afar, while its frontal plating deflected most Allied shells. The Panther, officially the Panzer Kampfwagen 5, was a more recent addition, faster, and armed with a potent 75mm KWK-42 gun. Its long-range accuracy made it lethal. These machines were not merely tools, they symbolized dominance. German crews, trained with discipline and honed by years of Eastern Front combat, believed no Allied tank could stand against them. Across the Atlantic, the American perspective diverged sharply. Instead of seeking perfection in a single design, U.S. planners pursued a broader vision. Victory would hinge on production, logistics, and coordination. Factories from Detroit to the broader Midwest were mobilized for war production. The Detroit tank arsenal grew into one of the largest tank factories ever built. Ford's Willow Run plant, also producing aircraft, demonstrated how rapidly American industry could scale. Shifts ran around the clock. Workers learned fast, turning steel into hulls, installing engines, mounting turrets. The M4 Sherman emerged from assembly lines continuously, a machine of relentless output. The Sherman lacked the heaviest armor, and its 75mm gun in early models struggled against the formidable German tanks. Yet its value lay elsewhere. Reliability, long operational endurance, ease of maintenance, availability of spare parts, and rapid crew training made it a cornerstone of Allied operations. Its sheer numbers mattered most. By mid-1944, over 40,000 Shermans had rolled off production lines, a number that continued to climb. Even before D-Day, American strategists had devised the Sherman's role carefully. It was not intended to hunt tigers. Tank destroyers, such as the M10 Wolverine and later the M36 Jackson, were tasked with that mission. The Sherman supported infantry, exploited breakthroughs, and kept momentum. Air support, artillery engineers, and logistics combined in a synchronized strategy that became a decisive edge. On the 6th of June, 1944, the beaches of Normandy, Omaha, Utah, Gold, and Juneau saw the first light of the Allied invasion. Landings began before sunrise. Waves pounded the landing craft as machine gun fire tore across the shoreline. Specialized Sherman variants, the DD tanks, attempted to swim ashore with flotation devices, some sinking, others reaching the beaches. Once on land, Shermans engaged bunkers and strongpoints, providing essential support for infantry. Progress was costly, but footholds were secured. Normandy's terrain, with its thick hedgerows and narrow lanes, became a natural fortress for German defenders. Tank movement was restricted, visibility limited. Experienced panzer units exploited this, setting ambushes and concealing anti-tank guns behind dense hedges. Panzerfaust teams lie in wait at short distance, ready to strike. In these early clashes, German tank crews remained confident. When a Tiger or Panther meets a Sherman across open terrain, the odds often favor the German machine. American crews quickly realize that direct long-range fights are perilous, yet they adjust, learning fast under fire. Engineers respond with ingenuity, welding hedgerow cutters, dubbed rhino devices, onto Shermans. These allow tanks to plow through hedges instead of climbing over them, reducing exposure to ambush. A seemingly small modification, but one with far-reaching impact. Tactics shift rapidly. Sherman crews coordinate in units. One tank may draw attention, while another maneuvers around the flank. Infantry advances alongside, shielding armor from close-range threats. Artillery support is summoned instantly through radio communication, a decisive edge. Radios are standard equipment in American tanks, enabling real-time coordination, whereas many German vehicles, particularly older models, lack this capability. Behind the lines, the flow of material is relentless. Liberty ships unload tanks, trucks, ammunition, and fuel at British ports. Engineers construct artificial harbors called mulberries, allowing supplies to reach the beaches directly. Pipelines beneath the English Channel, part of Operation Pluto, deliver fuel from England to France. The scale of these operations is immense, and they succeed. By July 1944, the buildup is complete, and Allied forces prepare to break through. Operation Cobra launches on the 25th of July near St. Lo. Preceding the ground assault, more than 1,500 American bombers release thousands of tons of ordnance onto German positions. The earth shakes violently. Smoke and dust engulf the battlefield. German defenses crumble, communication lines severed, units thrown into disorder. Then the Shermans push forward in coordinated formations, bolstered by infantry and artillery. Resistance remains stubborn in pockets, yet the line begins to falter. German units scramble to respond, deploying Panthers and Tigers, but their numbers are insufficient. Many tanks are lost, not to direct engagement, but to relentless air assaults. Allied fighter bombers sweep the skies, striking vehicles, supply columns, and exposed emplacements. The German army is forced to move under the cover of night, slowing every maneuver. For the young commander and his Panzer IV, the rumble of approaching Shermans has become constant and unmistakable. He knows his tank's strengths well. The Panzer IV, particularly the later OS-FH variant, wields a capable 75mm gun capable of destroying a Sherman with precision. Yet its armor is thinner than a Tiger's, leaving it exposed. And numbers matter. Reports from the front no longer just mention enemy presence. They stress relentless pressure. Destroy one Sherman, another takes its place. Hold a position, it is assaulted repeatedly. Supplies are seemingly inexhaustible. Fuel trucks arrive. Ammunition replenished. Damaged tanks repaired or swapped for new ones. Maintenance differences become starkly clear. A Sherman can often be recovered, repaired, and returned to the front within days, with recovery vehicles towing it back and mechanics working swiftly. Spare parts are plentiful. By contrast, a damaged Tiger may lie idle for days or be abandoned if recovery is impossible. Its massive weight hinders towing, and mechanical complexity slows repairs. Fuel shortages worsen for Germany. By late summer 1944, many units face critical deficits. Tanks are held in reserve not due to lack of need, but lack of fuel. Some crews are ordered to destroy their own vehicles to prevent them from falling into enemy hands, a grim necessity. Meanwhile, Allied supply lines expand with relentless efficiency. The Red Ball Express begins operating in August 1944. Thousands of trucks ferry fuel, ammunition, and rations from Normandy to the advancing front. Drivers navigate long convoys under constant threat. Roads are congested, dust thick in the air, yet the system works. Supplies keep flowing. The breakout accelerates. American forces advance west and south, then pivot east toward Paris. And French resistance fighters rise in coordination. German forces begin a general retreat. Sherman tanks move into towns and villages, frequently greeted by civilians. But the conflict is far from over. By August 1944, the Falaise Pocket forms, trapping German units between converging Allied armies. Attempts to escape meet fierce opposition. The area becomes a scene of devastation. Burned out vehicles, abandoned equipment, heavy casualties. Sherman tanks are instrumental in sealing the encirclement, pushing relentlessly to close the gap. Allied forces advance from multiple axes, sealing off German escape routes. For German commanders, the reality strikes hard. The notion that American production could be underestimated is gone. The truth is unmistakable. The Allies can replace losses faster than Germany can inflict them. The balance of power tilts decisively. Still, German units fight fiercely. Experienced crews exploit terrain, camouflage, and tactical knowledge to their advantage. Occasionally, a single Tiger or Panther dominates a battlefield, yet such moments grow rarer. The broader conflict is shifting. As Allied forces push closer to the German frontier, new Sherman variants enter the fray. The M4A3E8, commonly called the EZ-8, boasts improved suspension and a high-velocity 76mm gun, enhancing performance against German armor. The British field the Sherman Firefly, armed with a potent 17-pounder gun capable of piercing even Tiger armor. These upgrades make Shermans more formidable. Concurrently, American doctrine continues to evolve. Tank destroyer units are deployed more effectively, coordination between infantry and armor improves, and air support becomes increasingly integrated. Communication remains a core advantage, keeping units synchronized on the move. On the 16th of December 1944, the dense Ardennes forest becomes the stage for Germany's surprise offensive. The Battle of the Bulge. Thick fog and snow limit Allied air superiority. German forces push forward, aiming to split Allied lines. For a fleeting moment, they achieve surprise. Sherman tanks find themselves in defensive positions. Some are lost. Roads clog, confusion spreads, yet American response is swift. Units regroup, reinforcements pour in, and Sherman tanks move to block crucial towns and roads. One of the most notable defenses unfolds at Bastogne, where American forces hold firm despite encirclement. Shermans, working in concert with infantry and artillery, bolster the defense. As skies clear, Allied aircraft return, striking German supply lines. Fuel shortages again become critical. Many German tanks are abandoned during the offensive. Not destroyed, but immobile from lack of fuel. The advance slows, then halts. Losses are heavy on both sides, yet the outcome is unmistakable. Germany has exhausted much of its remaining strength. The capacity for large-scale offensives vanishes. From this point, the Western Front sees a steady Allied advance. By early 1945, Sherman tanks cross into Germany, confronting urban combat, river crossings, and entrenched positions. Nevertheless, they press forward. Engineers construct bridges under fire. Tanks ford rivers like the Rhine. Infantry clears streets and buildings meticulously. German resistance persists, but is fragmented. Units are short on fuel, ammunition, and trained personnel. Replacements are inexperienced, and fewer tanks remain, often relegated to defensive roles. For the German commander who once heard that distant rumble in Normandy, the memory lingers. What he mistook for thunder was the herald of a different kind of war, one where production, logistics, and coordination mattered as much as individual weapons. The Sherman was never the battlefield's most powerful tank. It was not intended to be, yet it functioned as part of a system that worked. It could be built swiftly, repaired easily, and deployed in overwhelming numbers. It supported infantry, exploited breakthroughs, and pressed relentlessly forward. German tanks like the Tiger and Panther remained impressive, respected for design, firepower, and armor, but they could not be produced in the same quantities. They demanded more resources, longer construction times, and intensive maintenance. In a protracted conflict, these factors proved decisive. By May 1945, when the war in Europe concluded, the result was inevitable. Allied forces had advanced across Western Europe, liberating cities. German forces surrendered. Looking back, the early confidence of the German High Command contrasts sharply with reality. The dismissal of American industrial capacity was a fatal miscalculation. The sheer scale of production, combined with coordinated strategy and effective logistics, altered the war's trajectory. One can almost feel it again, standing inside that Panzer IV, hearing the distant rumble growing steadily louder. Initially, it seems trivial, another manageable threat. But as it grows, as it becomes constant, as it surrounds, clarity emerges. The Shermans are more than tanks. They signify something larger, unstoppable. Once thousands arrive, the battlefield itself transforms. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.